Dumelang. It's your host, Lesedi ka Mahuse. Ngwanyana moreleng o morakile setlhare go jana di mautwana. Di senang bonlo dumelang ke basadi ba tsona fela. Welcome to #Listen Influ More Code 101. We have Jaunito Lee today with us, and it's a blast to have you here, man. How are you doing?
I am fine. I actually feel great this morning. Thank you.
You feel great.
Yes, I do.
It feels good to be here, right?
Yes.
I know. So you are gonna tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, there's a lot that we're gonna be unpacking for our audience, for ourselves, and just man, for wisdom purposes, you know. So yeah, a little bit about Lee that we should know. Who are you? Where you from? And what do you do, man?
I think that's a great question. I think the most important question to ask someone is who they are. But I think many people answer that question wrong. Instead of asking someone who they are, they tell you what they do. So I think the most important thing about a human being is their story. You know, I believe every successful person in the world have a story. And it's more important to understand the story than to just look into their success. So I think if you have to ask me who I am, first of all, I'm a human being, and then I'm a child of God, and God has blessed me with so many gifts. I do music. I'm a writer, and I'm 24 years old. I just finished off with my studies in human resource management at Patsimang campus in CUT College, and I'm a rural boy, filled with greatness. So I came from humble beginnings, and I believe humble beginnings qualifies you for greatness. So I believe in and I'm determined that I'm on my way to become great because I believe I was born to serve.
True. Yeah, that's quite a handful, right? Of what you do, and it's amazing how you just break it down. You know, it's so true that most of the time when you ask someone who they are, they'd first tell you of what they do. Man, if I wanted to know what you do, I'd ask you what is it that you do. But the mere fact that I ask you who are you, it means I just want a background. You know, something basic, something not very deep and intense, like we make it complicated most of the times. So one of the things that interests me, right, as you were speaking, is that you're a writer, right? And you are a child of God. And I believe when it comes to writing, you need something that stimulates you to write. You need something that drives you, that awakens that thing, man, that beast, you know. I always say we are driven by something to do something, right?
Yes.
And oftentimes from something driving you to do something good, someone else then comes into the picture and they also has an influence or a certain impact that they have on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And also sometimes why you are actually doing it, right? So what I want to know is, because you're a writer, what kind of a writer are you? Because I myself am a writer. I know a lot of writers. So specifically when it comes to writing, what segment do you focus on?
I mostly focus on personal development, the personal development industry, because one of the questions that you asked is what motivates me to write. I think it's my life experiences. You know, I used to be depressed for 2 years straight. So I think, and also one of the principles that we have learned in the Our Voice Writing Competition workshop is we tend to write from a place of memory. So and the other thing that triggers me to write is God. So my number one source is God. So I'm inspired by what God has pulled me through every life situation, whether it was depression or any challenge. So and the other thing that triggers me to write is young people, because my vision is my source of persistence, and this is where I get my my material to write. So yeah, I love young people. I love people. I have a passion for people. And if you believe you are close to God, and you don't love people, you're not close to God. So we can tell how close you are to God by what you love. If you love what God loves, it means you are close to Him, and God's target for love is every human being. So yeah, I think God is my number one. God is my number one. I think there's none like Him. I do admire certain great authors in the industry. Uh, the Greeks, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. We have Dr. Miles Monroe. We have Joyce Meyer. We have T.D. Jakes. But I think one thing that they all have in common is the source of everything. I think it's God. So yeah, so God is my number one.
So God actually is the push, for writers.
Yes.
Because it's the same thing, motivation,
Yes.
And now you were just mentioning a number of authors in the industry, and we are sort of getting to a point where just not early, just the past month, I think from the 19th to be sure, there were awards for writers, right? And we also attended a writing workshop where you made it as, position one, the man behind the pen, the man behind the laptop, just doing the things, writing. And we have the great likes of Sihle Kumalo right now, who got an award for best-selling author for 2022. And the best part of that is he's doing indigenous writing, and it's something that we also went through with regards to the workshop that we attended with our voice, right, with the great likes of Tepo Khairu, because he's also a writer. Before we get to how we are impacted on or influenced by other writers as well, because I believe great writers, researchers, they're readers. You need to read, you need to write, you need to be well informed, right? And you need to also understand other people's craft, how they do it, and how you could differ but still maintain the authenticity behind what you're writing or why you're writing. So if you go back to people who write indigenously, so how do you feel about writing styles? Because now you write from a place of memory,
Yes.
and you'd get people who now use different senses in writing, so do you include those? Because Sihle definitely does. I haven't read a lot of his work, but I know there are quite a number of overviews of his that I've read that are quite nice.
I think one of the thing that's important is that principle doesn't change, but we do have different people. We do have different personalities. So I think it all depends on what inspires people to write and what interests them. So yes, we are different. Yes, and I am using different senses, like my sight and my own. Okay, but I think the most important thing is my inner voice. So yeah, I think for me that for me what makes me different from other writers is I always follows my instincts and my own inner voice. So yeah, about the indigenous uh, uh writers. Uh, I think that's something different because we only have we don't have a lot of indigenous writers, especially in South Africa, that I know of specifically because I haven't done my research because that's not my, with all due respect, but that's not my my area of interest. I focus on what I've been given. So everything that I touch is either motivated by God or my vision, and I believe um vision is a source of persistence. Everything I do is motivated by God's vision for my life. So anything other than that, I do admire any type of writer in the industry, but I cannot succeed focusing on what they do. Yes, I can compliment them, but I would rather focus on what I've been given, just like I said. Yeah.
All right. So, Ne, this is the interesting part, right? You sent me one of your pieces that you wrote. I don't want to go into it in detail, But I'll ensure that when you do send me the link, we do share it as well with our people so that they can see what we say when we say we actually have great people out there, but we don't really know of them. Like you're saying, probably because it's not really our field of interest, where you'd want to go and dig. Now you heard about Lee and you don't know Lee, but now you must take your time, go search who this Lee is actually, that piece, the depression piece, I need to say that is quite a great piece, ne? And like you're saying, it was motivated by also a place of memory because you had lived in that stage, you had been in that place for quite a number of years, two,
2 years,
to be
yes.
exact, right? Using that and looking at the current state of how mental health is sort of impacting and influencing a lot of young people, how do you go back to saying, again, this is the inspiration that came with having to write this, and this is the outcome I'm actually hoping to achieve after people have read this piece of mine and have taken to cognizance for, okay, this is what is actually happening. And lastly, if you were to, how do I put it, if you were to establish something right within the writing field, because I know you write articles, right, and that's your field of interest, what other article related to what triggers a mindset of a person would you want to sort of co-write that goes well with the depression piece? Because it goes back to what interests us. We read what interests us, right? Yeah.
First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to shine a light on whoever goes through depression, because depression is not something that is being dealt with correctly. I think every goal of the articles that I wrote, from my latest article, surviving depression, the goal is to help. I don't want to see or love to see people to experience what I've been experiencing. So the goal is to help them and to teach them, not just give them piece of information or to fill their heads with knowledge, but also with principles. Because it's one thing to read something, and it's another thing to understand it, and it's a different thing to apply it. Because you cannot apply something that you don't understand, and you cannot also understand something that you've never read.
Sure.
So I think one of the missing element or elements in this world is a lack of knowledge. People would rather go buy a box of chicken than going to a bookstore and buy a book. So it all depends on your level, also your level of hunger. Because I cannot teach you something that you're not interested in, even though I see you struggle with something. I think come you should come from yourself. You should put in the effort and also take responsibility for seeking for knowledge. So that's why I also believe that God God responds on a desire to know basis. So yeah, and the thing about depression, man, depression is or let me say this: things become how we see them and how we approach them, because we were not born to control everything in the world. Because if we attempt to control something that's beyond our control, there's a recipe for stress. Trying to control everything.
True.
So God will never give you an assignment that He knows that you're not capable of. But sometimes I think one of the key factors that contributes to depression is when we want to become like other people. Yeah, instead of focusing on what God has given us to accomplish on this earth. So one of my favorite quotes in the surviving depression article is, I mentioned this. I said depression is a false image of who we think we are, and it's also temporary until we discover our true self-image, which will be manifested through life's circumstances. But sometimes God will use circumstances and hard times to bring you into your purpose and to maximize your potential.
And I also think that is more like, it gets to a defining moment, because now it's something that you went through. But also, what I want to understand is because you're a writer and you're making money from writing, right? Yeah, Sammy, do you make money from writing? I don't know, Miss now.
The thing is, it's more important to serve than to make money.
Yeah, I understand that. Serving them to make money, right? What I want to, how should I put it? Monetizing, right? In everything that we do it with passion first. You want it to be impactful to other people, but in the long run, you know that it needs to feed you at the end of the day because it's craft, and your craft needs to give you an income, even if it's not millions, but something should come in, and I think looking at the current state of the economy right now, we are sort of forced to work and make money. And how does your craft help you, especially now, say that we get depressed by a lot of things, man. We are very young, for a 22-year-old like me who's a writer but wants to make money in the writing blog, in the writing industry, but still maintaining a good level of writing, a good reputation and character while doing it. What are the channels that I can go by, because I hear a lot of people talk about free writing. I don't even know what free writing is, and I'd also say, no, just writing on social media blogs, social media platforms. What else? But it's quite a lot, man. So how do you precisely use that and say, no, man, Lesedi, this is how you go about it? Give me tips, man. I also want to go to Texas. Why are you like that?
I think there was, okay, I can't remember the author, but there was this one author that said, if we seek nothing, we cannot be controlled by everything. Because sometimes when we want something, we can be influenced and be controlled by materialistic things or outside influences. So for me, working for Verbs Up Magazine is a company based in Las Vegas, Texas. I've never asked them any cent. So I think we should not work for money. We should work for fulfillment, because sometimes you can have millions, but not fulfillment. So the most important thing is fulfillment, because the highest level of success is happiness. Imagine being a billionaire living in a mansion and you're not happy. And we have a lot of them in this world. People are successful, but sometimes we should also measure their success, because it's possible to be successful in the wrong thing. So if you are successful in something that God has never told you to do, you will not enjoy it, because this is not you, man. It's not part of God's plan. It's not your vision. So that's why we should never measure our success based on accolades or what other people say about us, because the average human being is so mediocre. To be a genius, you just go do extra.
Whoa, okay.
So one of the advice that I would give to someone who's interested in doing what I do is don't seek money. The beautiful thing about God giving you gifts is when you serve gifts, people will maintain you. You don't have to worry about money. People will make you rich. So and one of the proper channels that you can that I specifically use is Facebook. And I also do make videos, motivational videos on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, you would. My face is I don't know, but that my actual goal is not to be famous. My goal is to make a difference. So I believe when you discover your gift, redefine your gift, and serve it for free. Because leadership is not about you seeking for followers. Followers is not the prerequisite for becoming a leader. So just because you're a follower doesn't mean you're a leader. Leadership is all about service. And leadership is about the seed that's becoming a tree with fruit. So trees will never take their fruit to you. People are attracted to the tree. So when you become yourself, people are attracted to you. So my actual goal with this writing, my heart's deepest desire, and I do mention it in every article at the end, is for especially young people. I have a passion for young people. You know, my vision is specific. It focuses on young people, so I cannot be distracted. So not everyone can be your market.
True.
So you have to check your market and look at what you are attracted to based on your passion. So I think yeah. So I think yeah, that's all. You can't just share everything, you know. Sometimes one thing that I remember Einstein once said is, when you become successful, you cannot share your secrets with everyone because people might blame you for what you gave them. So let's say, for example, if you become a millionaire tomorrow, nah, and I go for you for advice on what you did,
Doesn't work
uh,
out
and it doesn't work out for
for
you, you have every right to blame me.
you.
But when you discover it for yourself, what makes successful people successful, and most of the time you'll find out it's not the money, it's their passion. Bill Gates never went to go look for money. He was possessed with this idea of Windows, and now he's controlling the world with Windows. Every computer needs Windows. The late Stephen Jobs, same thing. He was so possessed with this Apple, the idea of Apple, the Apple iPhone, I think the Macintosh, and I think it's last week I watched his or listened to one of his documentaries when he mentioned that when he was fired from Apple, he went on to go and start his own company. I think next it's a film company. So I think the most important thing on earth is ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, are your ideas in line with God's ideas? Are your ideas divine? If your ideas are divine and in line with God's will for your life, you'll make a lot of money.
True.
Yeah.
So I should just align my ideas with God's
Yes.
will. So basically, it goes back to what you're saying. You need to do things to serve, not to gain. In most cases,
Yes.
it is a matter of also. How do I put it? I always say people conform to popularity. Right now we know of you. Oh, let me make it a basic example. You're from Berkeley, right?
Yes.
And not a lot of people would know that you're right, but those who know you're right, is very rare that they would support you or what you do. At the moment now, you're popular enough and the world is supporting you. They'll be the ones chanting and rooting that we know him, he's from here, he grew up here. So it makes sense when you say first serve, because it gets to a point where you're popular enough where you don't need to even say I need followers. It's just a thing of confirmation. People now see you as this tycoon in the writing industry, the big thing. We want to bamba and chill with you. It's fantastic how you also just break it down. Just yesterday I shared a scripture with one of my friends, and I said, some things we plan in our lives, but they don't go accordingly because God is the one who decides at the end. I believe that's Proverbs 16. It's always been my favorite scripture, especially when I have had these big plans and now it's like they're not going accordingly, and I'm like, but God said, and sometimes you look stupid to people outside when you are a follower of Christ and you solely believe in his word and his word only, so it's like, oh man, you're just dreaming and it's never gonna happen. But it goes back to what stimulates the idea of what you're doing, what you're saying, because when he said whatever you ask shall be offered unto you,
Thank you.
it goes back also to, is it in alignment with what he has for your life, basically purpose. So I want us to just dwell shortly into purpose, man. Purpose, inspiration, motivation, and the stimulation of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and from here 2 years from now, where do you see yourself in terms of your craft and your work?
I think that's the most important question a human being can ask him or herself is, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Because if you don't know why you exist, you will conform to survive. So one of the quotes that I've read from my favorite author is a human being without convictions will conform to survive, because the enemy of convictions are compromising. We should always protect our convictions. So purpose is the most underrated topic in the world, because people tend to pursue things instead of purpose. God's priority is purpose because God is the God of purpose. If you look in the book of Proverbs 19 verse 21, God said, many are the plans that man made, but it is my purpose that will prevail. Or in the other King James version, it reads as follows. It says, many are the plans that men make, but the Lord's counsel shall stand. So I think the most important thing about, even if it's just an idea, everything is motivated by purpose.
Yeah.
Because purpose precedes anything. Because if you buy a toaster and you want to go and switch it on in the sea, will it work?
It won't.
Thank you. So you violate the product's purpose. So I think it's more important to understand the purpose of something than to try to operate the thing or seek the thing or try to use the thing. Even if purpose is everything. Even if it comes to ourselves, if you don't know what the purpose of a male is or the purpose of manhood, you would never understand what it means to become a true father or a man. So let me just touch a little bit on manhood. The world are filled with a lot of males and few men, and a few fathers and a lot of men. So I think the purpose of being a male is manhood, not manhood, fatherhood. I think.
Okay.
So the highest calling of a male is fatherhood, and for the female is motherhood. So you go through these different stages to develop. So this maturing process. So I think when it comes to purpose is everything. If you don't know the purpose of money, don't touch money, because you will waste money. If you don't know the purpose of relationships, you will abuse your boyfriend or your girlfriend. But purpose is everything. If I want to date, for example, you, I must first understand why I want to date you. Because if the purpose is not clear about me wanting to date you, what triggers me to or what makes me trying to pursue you? What's the purpose behind the action? Because actions are motivated by purpose. So yeah, I think purpose is everything, man. Purpose is the key to life.
Thank you very much for being my guest today. Hopefully I'll have you again in future and you tell us, brah, now this is the company and it's grown to this point. Because I think one thing that is important that we need to do is also, as much as we bring you here in the starting or early stages, we need to bring you back again so that the people can see this is how far you've gone and you were serious about what you said from the onset when we started. So thank you very much, Jaunito Lee.
Thank you.
It's been a great honor to have you here with us, and thank you for also accepting our request to come and sit with you and just converse and get into it, man.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.